Hello, everybody. Voting is closed. We're closed the vote. Just shut the ballots. So I'm gonna refresh my screens one more time, and we will lay down the votes. These are really close, which I'm excited about. Some of them mine is
uncomfortably close.
Some of them within a couple of votes. All right. So where I'm at right now, where we stopped the voting when we went live again. Agatha had, 44 votes for pragmatic, 43.
The poll is currently showing 44 for both.
Right, because people are still voting, and I took screenshots. I'm not looking at the vote anymore.
It's tied now, Adam. Fuck.
No, you're pragmatic by 1 vote.
Oh no! Fuck
you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
I quit Burning Wheel. I'm done.
We can listen. Here's what we'll do with a tie. We can decide this as a group at the table if you want, because I think it is close, and whoever's still voting, stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It just bumped to 45.
You can't do anything now. Stop voting.
I think that because we are players, our vote counts for more, and I vote tenacious. So.
That's not how it works.
That's how it works.
No, it isn't.
This is a democracy. No one is happy. That's how democracy works.
I'm in the electoral college.
No. Listen, okay.
It's not the American. It's not an American democracy.
Here's what we'll do. We'll go by the fucking rules of the game.
Okay.
Whenever there isn't a rule for something in the game, we roll the fucking die of fate.
Oh, it's not kicking and screaming and shouting, and the person who owns the book gets to decide.
No,
that's Munchkin.
Yeah, we're gonna roll a d6. 1 to 3, it's pragmatic. 4, 5, and 6, because I know you think that's a success. 4, 5, and 6, it's tenacious. All right, here we go.
Give me that sweet tenacity.
Come on.
Fuck
Mother
everything.
of God.
Yeah, no, I quit. I quit.
Listen, if Elf can keep playing, and suffer through that horrible betrayal by corruption.
I am so annoyed by that, by the way.
Let me.
Betrayal by corruption is one thing because it's not personal. Betrayal by chat, that's deeply personal.
I think you'd be used to that by now.
I am still pissed off about that.
So
things I could have gotten.
So the trait vote, yeah. I mean, there's no. I'm looking to make sure there isn't a specific if there's a tie, but this is a 1 trait vote. We're not giving out 2 traits. I'm not. It's chat's give them all of them. If that was how we were doing it, everyone would have 46 traits. No,
it would be pointless.
You're making a goddamn decision. So you're pragmatic now. Write down somewhere. Mark the hour. Tenacity is within your reach, Agatha. I think if you get tenacious.
I should hope so after 19 sessions of doggedly pursuing the same thing.
I'm making a note.
I think I would like
at the time.
I would like that because we were talking about Driven last time. It's the kind of thing where by the time we get to the next trait vote, we always forget about what we were talking about.
Make a goddamn note. Put it down. So, write it in your traits list. Be for next time.
Because it's
totally yeah. I want to see that. I want to see a tenacious Agatha. I want to see you be no, I discard all goals but the goal I want. Okay. Lodowick, pretty clear one for you. Patronizing.
I am.
Yeah, I'm going to spell it correctly though. So.
Okay. All right. I'm not actually sure what the correct Canadian spelling of that is. I just took the one from the book.
Nah.
Yeah.
Is it with an S? I know it is for you. I'm not sure. So we have a few differences.
Well,
it's spelled Patrouinge with a little thing over it, right?
Nice. It's just
it would be with an S in Canadian English because we follow British English.
All right, so patronizing Ludwig, and I love the double meaning. I'm glad one of the double meaning ones showed up.
Is it a character trait or is it a trait? I haven't looked up yet.
Patronizing, I think it's just a character trait.
Yeah.
Okay, Alessandra, with a pretty significant margin, more significant actually even than Lodovic. You are charming.
I know I fucking am.
I like how there was some conversation in chat about well, I don't think Alessandra is charming, and I was just well, maybe she just doesn't like you. Maybe you're just beneath her and not in the way that you want.
Doesn't matter.
But yes, Operation Prince Maker is a go. You're getting.
Fuck. Someone in chat suggested a great trait, and I forgot to pass it on, which is we should have suggested the trait pregnant. Actually, though, it's a good place for it to come up. And I just want to, I don't remember who it was in chat, but that was a great suggestion.
It doesn't matter.
Clever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're past that point. I'm not saying like, oh, we have to go back.
No,
It's just
but
like,
no. So
that was super cool. That was a great thought.
as a game design and discussion point, yes, absolutely. This would be a time where Perganinat could go on your character sheet because of a trait vote. That is the one place the game gives us advice on how to get a character pregnant. So
I wish this game had more advice on how
Excellent
to get pregnant.
timing.
So what's funny, we were talking about like other games in which this could happen, like where people getting characters getting pregnant matter. And my first thought was Pendragon. So I looked it up. I was like, oh, we could use Pendragon, but I forgot that Pendragon is so like male centric that you just roll on a table for your wife and there's like a 15% chance she just dies. And so I was like, maybe we shouldn't use this table for Alessandra. Like,
not.
I'm sorry, your character died
died
during the winter in childbirth.
I mean, I could see a game where you fucking play out childbirth in Burning Wheel, and it's like, cool, you hire the midwife, you come in, you got to make the health test, you got to like deal with the stuff.
That will be. I promise you that if Alessandra has a kid, there will be tests involved to successfully have that kid. It's still the medieval era.
To like have the baby survive. Like it's intense. Yeah, it's
so. Lastly, before people continue to try to fucking spoil the vote, Joy is cold-hearted by a margin of one.
A single vote over dramatic.
I voted cold-hearted personally.
Did you?
I contributed.
I voted for Kodos.
I actually voted dramatic. You guys convinced me.
Yeah, I love that's one of my favorite things about the trait votes is that, like, I definitely only voted for my suggestion. I think one of those. By the time we got there, I was like, nope, y'all have better. No, I'm just go ahead and pick the thing.
Well, and it's a chance for all of us to have a discussion about what how we feel about all the characters, right? So
don't worry, chat. There will be as much drama as there has ever been.
Right. Well, and this is the true nature of traits, right? Is that like the example that Luke gives in the book, I think is a strong one, that you can be hairy with a lowercase h. But if you have the trait hairy, when you walk into the room, someone is like, "Damn, look at the hair on that guy." Right? Like you are instantly the person that is the most that thing. So Joy is dramatic, but there are other things that are more important. Like her cold-heartedness,
like her, yeah, exactly.
Cool. I'm excited.
She's definitely a little dead inside.
Well, and that's what's fascinating to me.
It's that the black, cold Stygian heart.
Right. Well, and that's what's so interesting about Joy is that, like, what makes you that way? Is it? And this is the kind of thing that like asshole philosophers have had this conversation. What makes the Stygian so dark-hearted? Like, is it their gods that made them this way? And then someone else is like, but perhaps it is a life of suffering that has made them this way, right? So it's like,
what if it's the weather?
Yeah, why is Joy cold-hearted? Is it because you were born that way as a Stygian? Did being a slave make you that way? Is it some other thing? Like, that's what's interesting to me, and like, how far does that cold-heartedness go?
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's suffering.
Yeah, that's the new brand right there.
Beautiful.
Gotta get that like tortured bod. It's the new hot bod.
If you don't have scars all down your arms, legs, and shoulders, you're not numb enough.
Fantastic. Whip by suffering. So cool. Everybody has traits now. We all have new traits. So if your trait is a die trait, with a mechanical effect, note on your character sheet the name of the trait and the page number upon which it resides, and also what it does, if you are so inclined. Note any new reputations. And now, when we're in this place of reflection, this is a great time to think about what we want to angle for next time. Not just if you didn't get the trait you wanted, but like thinking about, this would be an interesting thing to angle for. I would like to have a reputation for being a killer of men or whatever, right? Like this is a great time to make it that in your notes section of your book or in your character sheet, be like, aim for this. Because I think that the game calls us out in several places. We are definitely allowed to, like during the Artha thing, be like, oh, I played this trait when I did this thing. And to talk about our motivations for play, to be like, I'm working on this reputation. And I think what I was trying to go for here was like building a relationship with this guy so he could tell his friends about this thing. Having an intent for me to attach a task to can be as much as simple as like get someone to talk about me or do this thing so they will think this thing. Intent is both in character and out. I mean, if you want to earn the trait fear of cheese, let me know. I'll put some cheese in the game and you can run screaming from it. Cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where all the characters go. I love watching these. I've loved watching these characters evolve as we've played. I love seeing them the way that we knew them and looking at them now and seeing that path. Alessandra, Agatha, and Joy are all in places I don't think I could have imagined when we first started.
My whole arc with Joy, and I sort of planned this from the beginning, and it's kind of working out just because of the castle stuff that happened. But my whole arc was going to be to make her from this like goofy person into like this very dangerous person, and it's kind of working so far.
You are fully on track, Elf. Yeah. Let me assure you that I find Joy to be dangerous, a little bit because she's kind of unhinged, and a little bit because she's actually skilled at murder.
There will be a time when you use your relationship with the king, and you show up, and instead of the king being like, "Oh look, it's Joy," he'll be like, "No, not you." Yeah.
Also, shout out to Tom in chat. Miro is exactly where I expected him to be.
I believe we did have that conversation of what happens if you cap out on your. I was actually, Dave. I was thinking about this morning because people were talking about Dark Souls, and I was like, if someone were to go into the dungeon of the castle and descend into the bottom, what would the Dark Souls boss version of Miro look like? You know, because we just played through Bloodborne, and I was thinking about, his fur, and like he probably walks around on four legs with this cluster of tentacles coming out of his back. Oh, he'd make a great Dark Souls boss.
He would, wouldn't he?
He really would. Yeah. Like a furry, mutated man beast with tentacles.
Totally.
Yeah. Basically, it's like there's a version of Darkest Dungeon that is that castle, or there's like a Dark Souls game in there.
Good. Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah. The castle would be great. I envision it as like a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls like level when I think about it now. Like
also, Adam,
not a good place to be.
I hope we have noted that my trait vote for Emilio is drunkard. Or drunk.
Right. Yeah. Has he been drunk a lot? Is that a thing?
I mean,
it's really hard to know when you're playing a character and you have a bunch of other characters to play.
Yeah,
to be fair, he's been drunk in a lot of scenes in terms of like, let's get a drink, let's go to the tavern.
And then when they were gonna poison the dude, he was like, grabbed the goblin and was like, wait, hold on. Drain it.
That's right. That's true.
And his whole he's just spiraling super hard.
Can you later today I'm gonna burn up some NPCs. And rather than just do like I'm gonna pick the ones I think are appropriate, I was gonna ask y'all just like as my group of players who we think are valid enough to deserve like full burning. I mean I don't want to spend 12 hours doing it.
I can the people that we have relationships with.
I was gonna say I can think of 3 characters within my sphere.
That's the trick though, is because they're not all worth burning up completely. I can still like your kid. I don't need to assign skill points for him for
no. Right? He's got 1 life path.
Still, like I don't need to bother. I could just like, but so that's a good call. I think like the king is a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, the king is an absolute must.
Yeah, because I've run into a bunch of situations where I need to know what he is good at or not good at.
I think either Tabitha or Soren, whoever you think is the most important of those two.
Not Soren yet, but Tabitha, I think, because she.
I don't know. I got a belief about him now.
She's pulling her strings.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Soren's like a close second. If I had extra time, Soren would be the.
Emilio is an obvious one.
Emilio is an obvious one. Yeah.
Okay, so the king, Tabitha, Emilio, and I was thinking what I'm looking for is characters that have crossover. So I was thinking,
Katarina is a candidate.
Katarina's certainly a candidate. Robillard.
Oh yeah, Rebel
Because
Alert.
Robillard is
Robillard
connected
is
to
important to me now.
two of you.
Well, but the thing is, if you're talking about that, then I think that you need to rethink about Soren, because you very pointedly said last session the king wants some glory, and Soren is the person. Like, I changed my belief. Soren is the person that I'm going to go to about, like, 1, pursuing that, and 2, protecting him. So you're going to need Soren.
I mean, so the reason I'm burning them up is so that I have a fuller understanding of their traits and their skills, right? Because right now I'm in this awkward position where if you guys want to have a duel of wits with a character who I don't have skills for, like with the nun, I have to pick kind of randomly to like challenge you with their skills, but I miss out on traits, and like they don't get their full, like they're not a full appropriate challenge because there's stuff they would probably have,
or they're too challenging, or their skills are too on the
Well,
nose.
That's the flip side, where I'm like, oh, you're getting into a duel of wits. Well, here's a bunch of social skills they probably have.
Right, and because that's the context that you're looking at, there is a bias there, no matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, for Agatha's
burn
related
up
characters, I think Robillard fits.
I want to burn up Tabitha and Soren eventually, but I think Tabitha is a priority right now because she's between two characters.
Fair enough.
Like Emilio, I almost don't want to do Emilio because he's only one person's character. Like a Katarina would be a better fit there.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I feel like a Katarina, because she owns stuff, because she.
Yeah. The other thing is, like,
she could be a source of things going wrong if she loses her handle on her.
The other reason why this matters to me is that these are characters who are going to end up with a full set of beliefs, which for some of them, like, I could come up with one belief easy for every character in the game, but I want a chance to give them some nuance. I want to know what they want at any given moment.
And then for Agatha, I say this only because her beliefs are going to super matter, but Sister Sufferance.
Right. Yeah.
Is like the details of her character are what my next arc is really going to be about in a big way. Because both of us are coming into this weird liminal religious space, and the nuance of motivation and
I feel like there's a triangle.
Matter there.
There's a triangle here. There's a triangle between Robillard,
her,
you,
and Agatha.
And the two of you, because Sufferance is going to be like, no, the witch goes too far. Like, this is blasphemy. And you're going to be like, no, we have to be flexible. And like, this is the truth of things.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's like the two of us are going to be trying to change stuff, but from opposite sides. And then Robillard is going to be kind of like an arbitrator of that because he's in a position of authority.
I mean, ultimately, like the characters that matter will shift and change. But once I've burned them up, I can adapt them. I can move them around.
Yeah. So
okay, cool.
So
but
that's
I
my
just
side
don't
of
want to do
things.
Tabitha because I don't like her.
but remember, if I once we've cemented a character, I can't accidentally or unintentionally make them more powerful than they should be. Right? Like right now, if you were to go head to head with Tabitha, I could be like, yeah, it makes sense. She would have like a persuade of 7. Like fuck it, right? Like that.
That's like all of her stuff is in persuade, and then she's got like 4 relevant wises.
All of a sudden, she's really good at that. But if I build her as a person, she has weaknesses you can exploit, right? And you can learn her beliefs, and you can go after that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's beneficial to everybody.
I mean, it would have to require her actually like being in my side of the game ever. But yeah.
Blue Jay's just like, step to me, Tabitha.
I mean, she's in the.
Where are you at?
She's pulling strings.
Yeah, and it's annoying.
You made her.
Elisandra is out here.
One roll at the very beginning of the game, and I literally like talked to her one time afterward, and she's been like hanging over my neck.
What I love about your relationship with Tabitha is that you think that everything she does is to fuck you over, but she barely thinks about you.
Oh, this is one of those
Says
one-sided rivalries where it's
Yes,
like,
it's
oh, I
me.
hate them so much, and they're like, who?
She's my character. Yes, I know what she wants. But if I have a better understanding of her beliefs, like I can guarantee she probably doesn't have a belief about you specifically right now.
Well, good.
Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't have a belief about me.
Get the
Fuck out of here. Yeah, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could just look at the life paths you chose and just copy your character and make like Tabitha as
Do your own homework.
The other thing I'm going to run into that's a problem is that I can only burn King Tomas as far as like being a prince. There's no king life path.
You just got to do like a century of practice.
I'm not gonna fucking figure out 18 hours a day for 12 years.
I mean,
about that.
like,
I'm just
do you
gonna
really care
arbitrarily
about
assign
the
some points to
game,
fill
or-
him in. But
It's interesting that there's no king life path. I'm gonna look at this life path.
so there's
section
a
and give you
reason.
some
There's a reason
pointers.
because we had this conversation. I found this conversation on the forum from ages ago where somebody was like, "Yo, I want to be a king," and Luke was like, "Do it in the game." Like,
Yeah.
become the king. Because being the king, the only place you can go is down, right? You can stop
Once
being
you're the king, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Do it in the game.
There's something
I'm
close.
trying.
There's something close in the elf life paths that's like the high etharch.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
the
etharch or
Ethark.
whatever.
Yeah.
The Ethark.
But they're
and stuff,
elves and
yeah.
nobody likes them.
And the fall is more of a thing for elves
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can see that. But it is nice to have from your perspective to know what a king.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like buffer him where I think he should be buffered and give him some bonus things, as if he has been a PC for that long.
Yeah, or just
Yeah, I mean, I
like
could make a custom life path, but I think I'd
Noble
rather
Prince
just
again.
fill
and
in.
then
I'd rather just
spend
fill
all
in
the
this
points.
character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Damn, being a noble prince is fucking lit.
Yeah.
Super good.
Baller.
He's super rich. You get 100 resource points. You get +1 to both mental and physical. Or no, to mental or physical. Sorry, I thought it was both. And you get 4 general skill points. You're just like, yeah, you just learn whatever you want. You're the king. It's
Yeah,
cool.
you're gonna be the king. It's fine. You just
Also,
can't
everyone
wait.
has to do what you say and fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. What'll be interesting too is I've got to figure out. It'll figure out how like long people have been doing things. Because like when was the coronation? How long has Tomas been the king?
Yeah, when did
I
he
mean, I
graduate
think
from
that
noble
is-
prince?
I don't know how long he's been the king, but I know that how long he's been married to the queen.
But that doesn't matter to him. That mattered to her when she took the wife path.
Yeah, it's been like in my mind, it's been 5 years that he's been married, so longer than that since his coronation, or maybe not. Like maybe his
Yeah, maybe his dad
was
died
still-
early. Remember, all we know about his father was that he was like he was like more of a hero or like a cooler conquery dude than this guy has been.
Which is to say more of a murderous
More
tyrant.
of a murderous tyrant, yeah. But only to
Yeah.
certain kind of people.
I mean, just like saying that, like, I don't know how long this has been happening. Well, like, it's all relative to our characters, right? How long has
Yep.
Joy been a jester? Because she probably was introduced as a jester to this.
5 years.
Yeah, but thankfully I don't need to worry about any of that shit. I just build them as they are, and then we look at where those things correlated. But yeah, so that's the thing I'm gonna do. I'll do later. But I just wanted to ask you I just want to make sure because I think we're all on the same page. But I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody that you felt was like super important to your beliefs, so that I could be prepared later. Because if you're like, I am going to immediately get into a duel of wits with someone, I would like to be prepared for them. But having a Katarina, I think, covers that. Sufferance and Robillard. If I have time, I'll do Soren and Emilio, but I'll focus on the king and Tabitha. Yeah, cool. Well, let's get caught up to a place where, like, I don't think we're not gonna have enough time to like do much, but like I'd like to spend the next little while kind of figuring out. There's a month of time, and let's talk about what do we think of the space of that time. So, Joy, you
Yeah,
murdered Yorick Booker.
I did.
With a vial of terrible acid to the face. He died screaming as his features melted. And everyone in the room saw, or at least heard, that it happened. And lucky you, you slipped away.
I scampered away.
Yeah, and I think Emilio probably immediately like threw up in an alley, because he was much more phased than you were. But there was a moment there, like as you were leaving, where he wouldn't have said anything, right? But there was a moment that the two of you exchanged where he looked at you and he didn't have to say it, but there was gratitude in his eyes that like, you can see him seeing his own dark future rolling out before him, in which he was paralyzed with fear, caught for the crime, and then like put in a dungeon forever or hanged from his neck.
Drawn
until
and
dead.
quartered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like murdered horrendously
That
for
shit
such
would
an
happen.
egregious crime.
Yeah.
So there was that moment, like, and that's when he stopped being your enemy. He's not your friend yet, but he's still hateful, but not of you so much.
He just hates everything generally.
So
I'm glad for that, but I think, the important stuff is like, I don't know, the like what happens when I get back kind of thing.
yeah. So I'd like that to be the scene that we play out for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is like before the month of practice time, but it sort of sets where you're at. So what do you do? Where do you go right back to? Do you go right back to Ekaterina? Do you go right back to the Black Veil, or do you like hide out for a while and then return? What does that look like?
I mean, I think my like Joy's path would be to go immediately back. Like I think it would be like, okay, well, they said I couldn't come back till I did it. So if I go back, that's like saying, yo, it's over, and making sure to speak to Ekaterina directly.
Okay,
obviously.
so I think you and Emilio, because Emilio just follows you because he's still a little lost, and
I said to Emilio I'd like introduce him. So
you did, but he's not really thinking about that right now. Like you could probably get away with not doing it. Like he'll come back to you later, but like you're aware that he's a little shaken. So I think we transition to the Black Veil.
Yeah.
It's late at night, and this is a during the tail end of the raucous time, right? There's still lots of people there. You make your way through the snow to the Black Veil and find your way inside. And Emilio is not like cracking jokes. He's shaken by what happened to him tonight. So he comes in and just sort of stands at the door with his cloak still around his shoulders and his hat still on his head, snow kind of like melting off of him, just like staring and like blinking.
And I look around for somewhere that he can sit. You know what I mean? Like if the bar has a spot, or if there's like a chair open somewhere that I can just like put him down there. And Joy just leads him to wherever's open, sort of out of the way. Like I don't want to interrupt like guests or any of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's busy enough that you can find a place to stash him for now.
Even just like the stairs, or something like up, that kind of thing. Just like put him somewhere and like sit him down and go like, I'll be back in a second. I need to talk to Ekaterina.
Okay.
I'll let her know what, you did. Okay. Just wait here. I'll be right back.
This time of night, an unaccompanied, slightly out of his element looking man in the Black Veil would be very quickly accosted by prostitutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So you as soon as you leave him, a couple of the workers of the Veil approach him. The conversation will be short because they'll find out he has no money very quickly. But I think you've settled him. He's not going to get thrown out or anything without you.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you go?
To Ekaterina's office would be the first place that I check.
Okay. So you head back that way, and Ekaterina, I think, probably has like a bodyguard. He said. Making
probably.
a note to buy Ekaterina a bodyguard. So yeah, she has.
There was that dude outside the door before. Could be that guy.
Yeah, I think she has someone. There's always someone keeping an eye on her. And so her office is in the back. You go kind of around the bar, under the stairs, down a hallway, and it's much quieter here. Though on some distant floor, there's a rhythmic squeaking and thumping that you can hear. But it's much quieter back here. And and there's the door, there's a stool, and there's a man sitting at it. And he looks up as you approach, and he gives you a look like, you better have good news for Ekaterina. Like he knows that if you're back, you better bring the fact that you've done the job, or you're gonna get thrown back.
And I give him one of these. Please.
And he knocks on the door, and you hear Ekaterina on the other side of the door shout, "What is it?" And he opens the door slightly, and he says, "Ma'am, the Stygian's returned." And she says, "Send her in." So he opens the door.
Gestures. And in I go.
Okay. All right. So she's in her office. There's a glass decanter of some dark amber like liquor. The decanter is open. There's a glass on the table still with a little bit in it. She has a pipe sitting next to her that has long gone out. And then a pile of paperwork on her desk. She's got a ledger open, and a quill, and she was just doing some writing when you came in, and she looks up, and yeah, she Ekaterina, as we described her before, is a striking woman, right? Like she
It's like very
stands out.
sharp features.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
stands out. She's got a bit of like a roguish charm to her. I think, did we say she has an eye patch? I feel like she has one eye.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Make a note of that too. Remember my canon. Eye patch. I have to buy her the one eye trait. And yeah, and I think she just has like a loose like silk blouse on, and probably like some tattoos like on her collarbone.
I think Joy's first maneuver where she steps in, like trying to keep that lighthearted feeling that it's like her coping mechanism and just like the way she deals with everything, you know? She sort of like flourishes the like ratty cape she's wearing, and goes like, "Ma'am, your debtor is dead."
And she grins and she says, "Straight to the point, huh? Well,
If I'm here and I haven't done it, then I'm dead. So best to get that out of the way, I think."
and she nods and she says, "So, tell me, what happened?"
Well, it's quite a story. Let me regale you. I went about acquiring the things I needed with the resources that you gave me, or that I got. Saw an alchemist, got some very potent acid, and splashed it in his face when we got the first chance. Recruited one of my old friends to help me, hoping that you might find a place for him.
And she sneers a little.
You'll hear soon, I'm sure. You'll hear very, very soon that he wasn't left with much of a face or clothes or anything. He melted.
Oh my God, there's like a very slim chance that he didn't die. Like, I think maybe it occurs to you when you say that like he's gonna be horribly disfigured, but there's definitely a chance he could live. Oh my God, that's fucked up.
Through that much
like
acid
a
and
coma or
fire?
something.
Yeah, there's no way he's like functional.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly no one who could cast magic spells to keep
maybe
someone alive
magic.
like that. Yeah,
But like infection
guy had access
on
to
a burn
fucking
from your whole body
magic?
would almost guaranteed to be dead.
yeah.
If not now, then very soon.
Yes, but
He gets
also,
very slim.
like, you know, this is fantasy. So
I mean, sure,
And
it's fine.
yeah.
Angels.
Yeah, also the gods of corruption, to whom one might pray when one's face gets melted off.
Gods of corruption helped me melt his face off.
Yeah,
God damn
listen,
it.
the gods of corruption just want everyone to be fucked up. So
He fell into the pit too.
yeah,
He's-
but he's dead. He's totally
He's
dead.
probably
Didn't his
dead.
like hands melt to his face? Wouldn't he suffocate?
He's dead. It's like for sure.
Don't worry about it. He's dead. I'm just saying, like, you don't know that for
No,
sure.
I don't know that for sure. For sure, Joy is like,
Yeah.
you will hear, and not just from me, very soon, I'm sure, that Yorick Booker melted into a skeleton and some bubbling flesh, basically.
And she like scowls and she says, "Well, you're not subtle, are you? I mean, I expected you to poison him, as you said,
I
but
seem to remember you saying something about sending a message. I
she,
feel like this sends a pretty good message.
she nods and she says, "So, did you tell anyone? Was there word that this is my responsibility?"
Not as such, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't. Because it was, because I did it.
And she she shakes her head and she says,
There was a lot of running to do after the acid.
I'll be honest with you, Booker wasn't that much of a thorn in my side. I was really trying to see the measure of your character. I think I have it now. You're more dangerous than I thought.
Joy is like smiling during all this because again, like human life, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Like
clearly this is great success for
Yeah,
Joy.
I win.
Yeah.
You know?
And she says, I suppose if I need someone subtly knifed in the dark, I will know not to call on you, Joy, but it seems you have...
you say that, but I could do that too. You just got to be more specific. You said take care of this guy. I
She
took care of
nods.
it as well as I possibly could. There was no escaping the getting taken care of part of this. They are taken the most care of they could possibly be in the whole world.
And no one saw that it was you.
They may have seen a Stygian, certainly, but I was gone in an instant. The guards were busy freaking out over the fact that their boss's face was melting, and I thought it best to slip away before then. I was standing right in front of him, however,
You said
with my friend.
You said something about an accomplice.
Yes, Emilio is his name. He is a fellow that I used to know from some time ago. We didn't get along so well, but now I think I may have smoothed things over by offering him this opportunity.
So you offered him what exactly?
I offered him an introduction to you, and perhaps, you know, your good graces and charity would lead to a job for him. He's a musician, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
Is he any good?
Oh yes, he used to perform at the castle.
She kind of scowls at you, and she says, "Don't make a habit of offering people things that you don't have, but I'll meet with your accomplice, even just to make sure he's not going to blackmail us over this. How attached are you to this? What did you say his name was?"
Emilio. How attached am I? Middling to low.
She nods, and she says, "Well, if I decide I need him taken care of, I suppose I know who to ask. Well, you did what I said, so I suppose we'll have to find something to do with you that isn't..."
I mean, I would appreciate that part of the bargain.
I think it's
forward.
safest that we keep you away from the kitchen altogether for the time being.
The acid story not really sitting very well with you.
I think she just kind of looks at you like, you keep saying that like it's no big deal, right? Like she's just like, okay. So I guess what would you like? Like for her, it's basically like, go back to your room and I'll tell you next time I need you. But like you can hang out and live here.
This is one of those situations where it's like, I want employment, but better employment, like money employment, like not subsistence employment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can do these extra things for you at like extra charge, you know, sort of thing. Like I can be a person who kills people for you. That's fine. And she goes on to be like, I'm fine with going back to where I was, so to speak, but with some benefits, you know, maybe some money, something like that on a retainer basis.
She scoffs and she says,
I'm sure you pay what's his name Muscles out there.
If I needed an assassin on retainer, I wouldn't be very good at my job. But there may come times where I need someone of your service. I'm going to keep you around in the Vale. We'll have you...
What would you like to say that I do?
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? What do you like? Because you can make a suggestion here.
Joy doesn't have that many skills.
Yeah, like really... what would be a thing that would be reasonable? Because you can't just be like lurking around.
She's a. I mean, I'm just gonna look at her skills and see if there's anything that informs me here.
Provide entertainment, but also spy on guests.
I mean,
wait tables and spy on guests.
She's capable of singing, not very well. So her sleight of hand is really good. Her throwing is really good. Her ugly truth is really good. That's kind of it. Persuade is pretty good, but that doesn't really help.
Oh, well, we have an open mic comedy night on Thursdays, and I think you'd be perfect for
She could learn, like, bar work, basically. But then we're talking about putting her with food again. You know, like,
yeah. I think she wants to keep
drink.
you close because you're so like unpredictable and weird and dangerous. I mean, you are used to being an advisor to people in a position of power. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so here I have a thought. You can tell me if this is
please.
something that Joy would pick up on. So she says, "Listen, if I needed an assassin on retainer, I wouldn't be very good at my business, would I?" And you're seeing a person who could use someone to like hang around and like tell them what's what. So if you can think of an ugly truth to hit her with, to be like, "Look, here's what you need me for."
I got it. I got it perfect.
Okay.
Like, I can bring you another talent, something that Flex out there isn't gonna be able to do. I notice things. I see the way of things, and I have a lot of experience telling people in very high positions how it is. If you're willing, so to speak, I can use those talents for your good. Tell you what I see and who's trustworthy and who's not. And maybe I know you're good at these things, but I think I have a specific eye for these sorts of details.
Right, so kind of like like an advisor.
Like a
lie
snitch.
detector.
A snitch in her own house, right? Like just
Yeah.
look here and listen to people, and people won't know that you're in my pocket. And when they tell you things, you then tell me the things, and then I exact retribution, right? Like it wants a like.
All I'm asking is that I can see through the facade people put up. Keep me close, and I'll see through it for you.
Yeah, so she well let's see what she thinks. Make a I guess it's a persuasion.
It's kind of a persuade,
It's
yeah.
persuade, yep. She's got a will of 3.
Okay.
And if you succeed, we'll talk about forks and stuff, but if you succeed, then she will like just keep you around her to like tell her, like to observe things for her. Sometimes she'll get you to like watch people or like snitch on other people in the Black Veil. And then when the time comes, if she needs you to go and book her someone in the face again, then she'll call on you for that. But in
I
the
mean,
time
this
being,
also comes down to like I'm just gonna be her little spy.
Yeah,
like
her little
I can
snitchy
play
lapdog.
I can play the role of like servant girl or whatever needs to be done.
Okay.
But I want this like extra position that will come with extra benefits, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so persuade. Can I fork for the first time in the whole game? Can I fork slavery wise?
Yes, because you are familiar with how to ingratiate yourself to the master.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Wait, you don't want to fork the skill that you were going to be using, Ugly Truth? Or
I mean, can I? I'm not really using an Ugly Truth here.
I mean, but like you're
Really.
referring to like give me this job and this is what I would be doing at this job.
Also, it's really ugly to just nakedly
Yes.
say like, yes,
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
I think it's a fine.
betray
fork.
people's
All right, sure.
trust.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
It's like,
I appreciate
yo, guess what? People aren't always loyal to you, and I could snitch the fuck out of them. Because normally in this kind of situation, no one would ever admit to being willing to do that at all.
Yeah, it's the ugly
Great.
truth is about your own base nature.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. Got him. Okay. All right. So
You're welcome.
that becomes your role in the Black Veil. No one really knows why you're around, but like you meet with Ekaterina occasionally, and she.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of this month, like
Yeah.
I'm training falsehood, I'm training persuade, I'm
Nice.
training knives, I'm training like I'm lifting weights.
Yeah.
Those kind of
You're
stuff.
slowly becoming a hardened criminal.
Um,
Okay. Cool.
Getting ready for when I might next be called on to do my more nasty work.
Yeah. I
But
wonder
also-
how things go with Emilio.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. And also the other question is, do I make more than subsistence here? Am I like getting resources finally to some degree?
No, like you fictionally you have a place to live and stuff because of this, but to gain resources you have to like test them, so you need to get some cash or whatever.
Sure.
And I think that'll have to come from exceptional circumstances.
Okay.
So like maybe the next time you do a job, she'll actually
I'm
offer
just-
you like specific money.
I'm mostly just asking. Like, it's not a big deal either way.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So that's what you're up to. I want to make a test to see if Emilio like secures employment or just gets tossed out. But I don't know. I don't know what his like skill, like musical instrument or whatever, would be the skill.
Okay, I have that skill.
Because he can play the lute, hatefully, but I don't know what he would have it at. But it's his main skill. He's literally it's part of his concept.
It's will and agility for musical instrument.
Sure.
I have it at 2
I
opened
think
with
it's reasonable
no
for him to have it at like 5 with some forks because it's his main thing.
will. I had a will of 5 at the time and an agility of 4. But then
I don't need to worry about any of that. I need to give him a stat for that. I'm gonna give him 5 in loot. And I think he's probably got like 2 appropriate forks, and we'll just make her will the. He's pretty good at it. He's not good at much else. Yeah, he worked at the castle. He led a band. He's a specialist. And we'll just make her will the ob. All right. If he succeeds, then while you're becoming high snitch of the Black Veil, he gets to be a lutist. He gets to be a soloist for a while. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, fucking blowing it out of the water. All right. So he does indeed. He's got it.
You know what they say, Adam? The loot is mightier.
So he's so he doesn't embarrass himself, doesn't get thrown out, and do you ever tell him? I guess we can find out when we play like IRL times, but he's going to be curious about what you actually do here, right? Because he's got a job, but he never sees you doing anything.
I mean, I do stuff, just lots of different stuff as is necessary for the people.
Pretends to be doing other jobs.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? He's curious.
I have disguise.
Honestly, it's probably like you're constantly being reassigned because it's just about who Ekaterina wants you to spy on.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, you're working in the kitchen today. You're working, so you never actually know what you're doing. You're always just like, I'm here to help.
Yep. Okay, cool.
And I mean, the answer for Emilio is just, I fucking kill people, Emilio. We just did it. This is just the, all this is just the cover.
Yeah, even though in this month you were not asked to kill anybody, Emilio thinks that every time you're not around, you're out stabbing people in the eye. Like you come back in after a night of doing something, and Emilio is like putting his loot away, just looking at you like, how many people did she kill today? Fuck. You have the smallest possible reputation with one person.
With one
who
guy
thinks that you're a heartless killer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
He's not too far off the mark, honestly.
So Agatha, let's do a scene for you. What do you get up to? Like, let's sort of set the stage, because what we want to do here is a scene to kind of close up the last chapter, open the next chapter, and give you an idea of what you want your beliefs and stuff to be for the next bit.
Well, I mean, is this me meeting Father Robillard or being introduced to Father Robillard?
Yeah, do you want it to be your first
different
interaction with Robillard?
Yeah, like our first sit down to discuss theosophometrics.
Right. Okay. So I think we'll begin with, like, it probably took some time, and Sufferance had to like convince him, like, yes, she's had a change of heart. And so we see sitting in his, kind of as a cool parallel, sitting in his office, we see Father Robillard Garrulus, who we established before is like a significant, like a bishop or whatever, right? Like he's a big deal. He left home to come here for the conclave and then didn't leave. First, because he was concerned about his family. Second, because literally there are angels and shit. And now he's the head of a strange splinter heresy in the absence of God. So his office, I think, is like a composer's office in the sense that he has like an organ in one corner, several other musical instruments like around. He doesn't necessarily play them, but I think he's one of those rare people who can compose music but can't play it. Like, he doesn't have the skill to play the instrument. So he has to bring musicians in to be like, play this. No, change that note. And so there's sheet music all over the place. sheet music and like mathematical diagrams. So a lot of weird kind of like cercination patterns, in fact.
Exactly.
But written in books and on pages, and so ink and chalk, shelves full of scrolls and writing material, and so he. Oh, that's such a good. Vera Johnson just pointed something out that would be awesome. There's a great case here at some point for Father Robillard to circles up Emilio. Right? To be like, no, I need a ludist for this. Someone good. Right? And like his reputation gets out. Oh, that's such a good connection. That's so good. But anyway, he's in his office. And I think we see him, and he much like Alessandra, he has even in his old age, his hair is still like quite dark. He has a bit of a bird-like countenance, right? He's a bit hunched over his work, long fingers, and he has tattoos. We've seen on the backs of his hands, and I think that he's gotten more since, like in the months since he's like sort of fully embraced this whole like angel choir thing. So like his neck has lines of these sort of blue cercinating patterns, and the backs of his hands and on his fingers. And it's all in the same, like, they're not tattoos in the sense of like he wants them to look nice, but they help him further channel the angelic energy he requires. So it's very pragmatic. It's not to make him look nice. And so he's finally agreed to meet with you, Agatha, and we see you enter. Right? Sister Sufferance has brought you to him, and I think you're in this nebulous, like, sort of a prisoner, not really. Like, you can wander the choir halls if you wish, but if you like, you're not really allowed to leave.
Under house arrest, basically.
Yeah. You're like, you can come and go as you like, but like, why would you want to leave? Yeah. So you're offered entrance, and I think that you smell candle wick, you smell tallow, you smell everywhere ink and paper. You can smell the like old and ancient lacquer on the church organ. The room has a dustiness to it that you immediately pick up on, and you can hear the scratching of a quill on parchment or paper. And then the slow, slightly rasping breathing of the father.
Yeah, and so Agatha will like walk into the room and like feel around for a chair or something.
And I think he just watches you. Right? You hear the quill stop, and we see him lean back and just kind of observe as you move through the room. He doesn't offer to help, but he's just kind of curious, watching.
Yeah, and she's not like super shaky or whatever. She's used to this, so she just like kind of feels around and finds something, and just like puts her hand on it. She doesn't sit down, but she just stands next to it, so she has something kind of anchoring her in the space. And
I think he says, so when you find the chair, do you go to sit, or are you
no?
standing?
She just like puts a hand on it and stands behind it.
He says quietly to you, when I was a boy, I had a cousin, lesser noble, from some unimportant part of the house. And he was born unable to see. And of course, the family, we all lamented. To be noble born in this way means such limitation for your life. He couldn't participate in court, of course. And we talked at length, my family, about what to do with him. Send him away to a monastery, perhaps. He was helpless. Nothing could be done about it. But we found that his other senses, he used them the way that we would use our sight. The boy had a fondness for bird song, could find his way to an open window from just about anywhere. Helpless in all regards, save this unusual talent. Do you find that to be the case? How is your hearing?
Oh, I'm certainly not helpless, she says, and she like sits down very like casually and in a like there's no like hesitation or shakiness or anything. She just like plops into the chair.
No, no, certainly not.
I exchanged my sight for power and for knowledge. Sight of the future and the past, which in my case is much more helpful.
The gift of divination is often a difficult one. That's the thing. We can see something coming, but don't always have the chance to move out of the way. That's how we find ourselves in unpleasant situations, even if we're well aware of their approach. I hope you haven't found our hospitality to be too lacking.
No worse than anywhere else.
The world is a hard place to live in. Cold and cruel.
Yes, certainly.
I suppose you weren't too upset when you learned of the passing of our Heavenly Father.
And she just kind of like scoffs.
You hear the rasp of his calloused fingertips making a sign over his breast, his skin rubbing against his robes.
Yeah. Yeah, and she just kind of continues after scoffing at his, God and all that. What does it matter if he's dead or not?
How well do you know your father, Agatha?
And she just like shrugs. I don't.
He nods. Yes. Lineage is too often ignored among your type. I knew my father very well. Broke my heart
she
when
just
he
like
died.
cuts him off. Just be like, doesn't matter. I know every one of my mother's grandmothers, all the way back. I have stories of them. I draw my line to Mother Wolf. It matters, but the men different. And she like kind of mutters and like waves her hand at him.
And he shakes his head slightly and sort of puts his hands up placatingly. I don't mean to imply that you misunderstand me. It's just we give a different sort of respect for the earth in which the seed is sown than we do for the seed itself.
Which is to say none.
There's a place for all of God's creatures. But I must say, I find you curious. Your barbaric ways.
She kind of like quirks an eyebrow at him.
I think, Agatha, we can come to an understanding of one another. And you hear the scraping sound of a leather book slide across the table towards you. And I think like maybe you have a hand on the desk or you're close enough that the book touches you so that you like he pushes it far enough that you can feel it.
Yeah, like bumps into my arm or something 'cause I'm leaning over. What, should I write my name in your book? Will you understand me then? Because I already understand you.
He leans forward and he takes you by the wrist, not aggressively, but like he's trying to put your hand somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we see his hand covered in tattoos over top of yours, and he places your hand on the pages and slowly, like really intimately, like runs your fingers over the raised ink on the page. And in your mind's eye, you can feel like the magic in the thing that you're touching, right? It's a circle. It's a magical like cercination circle, even though it's nothing like one you would draw. And he does this, and he's looking at you. How do you react? What is the look on your face? Like, I don't
she's
expect
just
surprise, but
no, she's just like concentrating and like muttering to herself about like, drawing the connections to like her frame of reference.
And he's looking at you, and after a second, you can hear him like lick his lips and
like, what kind of circle is it that is it like what is the purpose of this thing? Because she'd be able to read it. And
make a test. Let's figure it out. So you don't have any like summoning abilities. You just have.
No, I have cercination, symbology,
Okay.
Reading.
Okay, but you both use cercination as a skill. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a cercination test.
Cool. I'm gonna fork symbology and I'm gonna fork reading.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
So let's call it ob 3.
Okay.
Nice.
No problem.
All right, cool. So, yeah, I mean, you recognize the basic like geometry, the magical geometry of the thing, but it's hard edged where yours are fluid. It's precise where yours are intuitive. This circle, if drawn, like a spirit binder you'd have no use for it. You can feel the magic in it, but you can't, like, there's nothing, a spirit would ignore it, basically. It'd be like, cool, nice drawing. But it seems to be, a something for entrapping a spirit, like keeping a spirit bound in place. But the syntax of it is all weird and wrong.
It's like it would be like coding languages.
Yeah.
In terms of difference or whatever. Yeah. So she like puts her hand over it and she says, to trap something. A spirit.
Yeah, he smiles. We see his like yellowing teeth behind wrinkled lips, and he nods and he says, "Yes. So you do see. There are others in my order, historians, who have found in paintings on cave walls, etchings in older places than the church, such symbols as these. I wonder, what can we teach each other, Agatha?"
And she kind of like scowls at him. Teach you. If you were ready to learn it, you would have already. You people. And she just like crosses her arms and pulls away.
Yeah. And he, I think he shakes his head, and he says, "We may not yet speak the same language, but the choir's song is heard by all. Give it time." Is there anything else that you want to do? Because he's ready to just be like, okay, you can go back to your cell or whatever with your friend Sufferance. But I want to give you an opportunity if you want to say anything. But
she like stands up to leave, but makes a parting shot. She just says to him, "You said teach each other. Be ready to learn."
And he looks up, and we see a shot of him, and he like adjusts he's got glasses, like reading glasses on, and he looks at you and he says, "Oh, always." And then goes back to looking at the diagram.
Yeah, she's just like, "Your ways, very narrow, very limiting. Many of you refuse to learn. Monk Miro refused." And she like walks off. It's just like a veiled threat. It's right. It's just like, oh yeah, Miro didn't want to learn. Look what happened to that douche.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't totally know. He probably thinks that Miro was like ascended to heaven to be among the angels or whatever. So, yeah, so he's just like, yes, like sure, of course. Cool. All right. And I think that when you step outside, Suffrance is talking. This is kind of to close the scene. Suffrance is talking to another like member of the church, and Suffrance turns to you and she says, "We found this one outside. He's been wandering the grounds for days." And we turn and we see the other one. And she's just come in from outside. She's got snow all over her shoulders and stuff. And she's holding like something in her arms. And when she turns, you get the disorienting sense of seeing yourself from outside. And there's a slight like noise. And then your familiar leaps out of her arms and onto the ground and like runs over to your feet.
Yeah, and like Agatha just like very suddenly, very quickly, and with this like, that whole like spooky sense of her surroundings suddenly coming back. Yeah, just like goes and gets Oz and like clutches it to her chest.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. Alessandra.
Yes.
Let's have a scene. So when last we saw you, you were like, get out of here, Lodwick, and then Lodwick got out of here.
Yep.
And you have many things that you want to be doing.
Yep.
What would you like your kind of setup scene to do? Do you have any questions or things you want to get sort of resolved to set you up for the next bit?
I feel like like I didn't do this during practice, so it probably has no like mechanical relevance. But Alessandra is learning rule of law.
Right.
And I don't think that the king doesn't have time or care to teach her that. But I feel like, because I want to do stuff with Soren vis-a-vis the king's change of heart. But I feel like that's after the practice time.
Yep.
So like as a scene before the practice time, because you said that like there's a library, Gavril's library.
Yeah, Gavril was like a cool medieval lawyer knight guy. So yes, he was the king's justice, right? Which means he has to understand the law of the land and like God's law and all that shit. Yeah, he's like
probably behead people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an executioner too. That's different. That's a different task. But maybe
the
he wanted to
would
do
report to him. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that as an interesting pre-practice time thing, it would be cool to maybe circles up a teacher for next time I do the practicing of this, because like I don't know if you would backtrack and be like, now you have a teacher. I don't know what that changes in terms of how long I have to practice or anything.
Well, let's do the circles test and then we'll figure it out. You wanna circles up. We're getting legally blonde on this shit. So you wanna circles up an adjutant or whatever. Someone who can a solicitor who can like teach you rule of law. Okay. Talk to me about this character. Are they someone who knew your husband? Are they like a member? Like, who's the king's justice now? Like, has he not had one since?
I mean, I'm sure that's an important job, and he has had one. Yeah. Basically,
whenever someone, if a position is not filled, like any position, the king has the right to do it himself. So I don't know. Was he doing that job?
There are two options for this. We circles up an entirely new character.
Yeah.
Or I run into Reza in the library and he's not a douchebag.
Well, I mean, I can't promise he won't be a douchebag, but
I mean, the thing is
so
that like
here's the thing: you're independent, so I don't think necessarily that Alessandra would go looking for help. So maybe let's have a scene in the library with the candlestick, and you and Colonel Mustard can have a conversation. But I think you could be in there studying.
That's definitely a thing that if someone comes in,
Reza Vril can show up.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that like if we're going for someone who she's willing to learn from, that's a very specific type of person.
Yeah, I don't think it's about that. I think you already have the practice test and stuff in. Okay, so set the scene. When is it? Is it like late at night and you're in here, burning the midnight oil, or
I think so. Like, this is probably, I'm kind of like, maybe this is because I was practicing this during the downtime. Maybe this is a little snippet, like right at the beginning of our practice scene or time or whatever, like the very beginning. And she's doing so much every day that this is probably very much like I've been persuading people and sitting at the king's side and like doing all this. Like this is the last like private thing that she's trying to. I feel like it's kind of an ambitious thing and kind of an independent thing. Like she wants to, yeah. So definitely late at night.
Okay.
One of the nights where she's not banging the king.
I mean, or it could be after.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, ambitious people don't sleep. So okay, so you're in the one of those like libraries. You're in the librarium and you're studying, and you've got a bunch of books around you, and you're consulting some old tome, and yeah, and that's when Reza comes in, and he's wearing just like nothing too fancy, right? He always wears the colors of House Lyrics, and he yeah, I think he just like walks in. He's probably holding a candlestick or yeah, I think it'd be that. So there's this like pool of kind of soft light around him when he comes in and he sees you, and he's like looks at you and you look up at him when you see him come in.
Yeah, and I feel like this is something that she's probably doing that she's not necessarily broadcasting.
Okay, well, show us your reaction to that. But he says something as soon as he sees you. He says, "Oh, sorry."
Oh no, I'll go. It's fine. And she would like get up and like close the book and like shuffle it away. So
yeah,
it's
I mean, you don't get a
obvious,
chance
like,
to just like close the book and run off. Right?
I mean, like that's what she would make to do,
Okay.
I guess, is that she's trying to kind of like be a little secretive about it.
Yeah, which you can't because like
It's fine. It's a library.
so he says, "Oh, no, don't let me interrupt you. What are you reading?" He walks over.
I thought it might be wise now that the king and court are being held here, and that I should not be ignorant of what is happening in my house.
He sits down across from you, and he takes the book. You closed it, but he takes the book and turns it around to look at it, and he rests his hand on the cover and just kind of stares at it for a minute. And you can see you've sort of lost him a little bit. And he looks up, and he says, "This belonged to Gavril. Our father gave it to him. We were 12, maybe 13. Awful gift for a child."
Not an awful gift for someone who would run a home. But everything in this damn library belonged to Gavril.
He looks around at it. He loved this place.
You didn't seem to care. You weren't really one for books.
And he shakes his head. No, there's life to live. I spend all my time in here reading. He kind of scowls. I put Necula to bed. He was asking after you.
I have been busy.
Yes, that's what I told him. And last night. And the night before that. And every night in a fortnight since. It's not good. The boy needs his mother.
And you have experience with this mothering.
He just scowls at you and he says, "Well, I'm being forced to learn, aren't I?"
It seems we are both being studious in different ways, training for, preparing for things we might like to do. Are you expecting to have children of your own soon then, Reza?
He looks down at the book again, and he says, so what, you hope to become the king's justice then? Haven't you enough positions at court?
I do not wish to become the king's justice. It is not a position for a woman anyway.
I should say you shouldn't become the king's anything. And he like grabs your wrist across the table and like kind of pulls you like awkwardly against the table. So you like lean over a little bit. And he stares at you and he's like got your wrist in a pretty firm grip. And he says, stay away from that man.
Why?
Because you're endangering the house, you're endangering your son, and you're putting everything here at risk.
I am putting none of this at risk. I will advance the house. Such heights as you or Gavril could not. And she like swallows.
So do you want to like, you pull away from him, or do you just like let him kind of like keep you? Because you're like tilted forward and you can feel the table pushing into your ribs.
Yeah, I think that she would like turn her head away, but she's not gonna like,
Make
you know,
away from him.
Yeah, no. She's yeah.
When you turn your head away, you're like, you say something about Gavril and turn your head away. He reaches over his other hand and grabs your chin and like turns you to like look at him. And for just a second, like you could swear, and it's just a trick of the light, you're sure, but the brothers didn't have the same eye color. Like I think Gavril's eyes were green and his eyes were brown, but for a second, there's this like flash of green in his eyes, and he turns his your face to look at him, and he says, you can read all the books in this library, and you will never be even the slightest measure as just as Gavril was. And he like lets you go, like pushes you back a little bit, and he says, you should focus on raising your son and keeping the lineage of your family alive, not chasing the king. I refuse to see this house burn in the fires of your ambition.
Then perhaps you should leave.
And he stands up and he looks down at you and he says, this nest of yours, you can fill it with courtiers if you like, but it's not a castle, and you are not the queen, and this is my home as much as it is yours. And I think he like slams his hand down on the book and says, know your place, Alessandra, and stay in it. And he turns around and like storms out of the room.
What a dick.
So what do you do? What is the last thing? What do we see? Do we see you leave, or what do you do?
No. I probably like sit there for a second, because there was that it's like her reaction to his like physical assertiveness, where she's just like, and like grits her teeth a little and like collects herself. And then I feel like she goes to the door, checks to see if there's a lock, locks it, and then sits back down and is like, no.
No, that's good. So you go over to the lock and you lock the door and turn around like, all right, and go back to sit down. We do that thing where the camera goes like through the door. Mm-hmm. Reza is sitting on the floor with his knees against his chest and his back against the door, like breathing really hard, just staring at his hands and like shaking. And then we see you go back and sit down and open the book up like, nah, fuck
like
you.
Almost like, you told me not to do this, so I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna read this whole book.
I'm gonna learn this shit because Specifically
And
because
so-
you don't want to.
Yeah, and so when you open it, the book has like an illustration in it, an old like illustration, an illumination of like a Larix king like beheading somebody, and like the like priests all around him, like hooray, justice from the king.
Yeah, justice.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love Reza. I want to have more scenes with Reza because it's fun because I get to play two characters at the same time and be like.
And that's the thing is that like we
he's-
did such
he's
cool stuff
struggling.
with him, and then like I hate
he's still
it.
he's still
Go
very
away.
much around. And what's great is that now Nikolai might not really have a mom, but he's got two dads in the same body. It's great.
Yes, great.
Yep. So
You
meanwhile,
could hire Bleed. She could hire an infamous space melter once I get that rep. And
meanwhile, Lodovic, we fade over to like an enormous square cement vault full of gold coins, and here we see you swimming around in them.
Yeah.
Lodovic McDuck. So what do you want to do for your scene? I know you had a thing to do. You have some business to attend to.
I got a bunch of like non-story relevant resource tests to make at some point. I need to make 2-die cash, then make a 2-die fund, and then make another 2-die cash, then make a 3-die fund using the 2-die fund.
All
Just
right.
to, like,
If you'd like your scene to just be Lodovic silently like making note and flicking an abacus and like fucking pulling the cash register noise, I'm okay with that. If you want to do some business, because these things you can do them alone. Essentially, you're just like writing and sending letters and like stamping shit.
yeah, and we can intersperse that with the fact that he's preparing because he's spent his downtime or is spending his downtime working out like how he's going to finance this ridiculous like crusade into the castle that
Yeah, you have
Soren's
to prepare for your own enormous.
yeah, so it's probably like one of those film scenes where he's like he flicks the abacus and then you see like a bunch of people put like swords down on a table somewhere
so
and then,
so
like,
I've
flick
been.
through the page and it's like somebody holding a shield
And I would, yeah, we can talk about this more when it comes time to hire a mercenary company. But I've been consulting the elder sages of Burning Wheel about what it would take to hire a foreign military company to come in and like do shit. And it's not just about the resources test. It's about circling up the right people to put you in contact with the people you can pay. So this is just getting your finances in order and then being in a position to put in front of someone an offering to be like, fine, I will make an OB 12 resources test to hire you in your company.
yeah, exactly. I wrote a belief that the first thing is to find people, but
Yeah.
in the meantime I need to
Well, and you're gonna definitely need help with that because there are circles you do not have access to, right? You'll need to go to
Yes.
people like Soren and be like, Soren, you're a military guy. Do you know any former military commanders who became yada yada yada, right? Like this is the thing that we forget, that being super rich, but being super rich and isolated doesn't make you a mover and a shaker. It makes you a dragon.
Yep.
So if you want to get shit done, you need to know people. But first, getting your money in order, getting your finances together. Let's have you budget. So what do you want to do?
Okay. I want some cash dice so I can make a fund.
Okay.
And then I want to use that fund to make a slightly bigger cash dice to make a slightly bigger fund.
All right. So you can produce cash from your resources. How many dice of cash do you want to make?
2.
Okay. So it's an OB 4 resources test.
Yep. So let's do.
Lodovic the dragon is a like a future version of Lodovic where he basically becomes the human equivalent of a dwarf and like owns the greater bank of Carpathia, but never leaves his house. Like,
Okay.
yeah, ooh, that was narrow.
It was kind of.
Okay,
But
all right. So you generate yourself 2 dice of cash. So this is like you writing some letters and then somebody showing up with your like someone guarded and like bodyguarded into your room and like dropping a bag of gold on your table,
Yep.
calling in debts, building up like liquid currency.
Yep. Then I want to do. I'll do the fund at 2 die, so that's 5. So I can now make this.
So off 5, are you spending those cash dice you just generated?
Yes.
Okay. Like the knife's edge here, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more comfortable than it should be because I actually have a cool-on trait for it. But
Yes, that's true. You're good at this. Okay. All right. So you've created a two die fund now. You've lost those 2 cash dice you spend, but you invest them into the funds are described as property, valuable antiques, or bulk quantities of saleable goods. So this is you doing like commodities wise, right? So you've withdrawn a bunch of money, use that money to buy like grain or like ale or something like that. You're creating capital. So now you have a 2 die fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I want to.
Yeah, and for folks at home who are watching, the resources tests that Dave is making for Ludovic here, they're not advancing his resources. Like these are 2 routine tests. He's not going to get more money in the end out of this. This is just moving money around.
Yep.
To make it easier to succeed at harder tests later.
Okay, that's to get the 2 cash dice back.
Okay, so generate another 2 cash dice using the fund that you have.
Yep.
Okay.
Which doesn't go away, which is nice
No.
because I can use both of those together to get a bigger fund. Because 3 dice fund is 7, which might actually be a test for me now.
Yeah, so what's great about this, like, yes, you can use used cash to create the fund, then use the fund to create more cash, use the fund and the cash to create a new, bigger fund. And this is literally just like the rich get richer. This is how this works.
Money appears.
Yeah. Cash fancy.
So a 3 die fund is 3, 6, 7. So I've got 4 die there, 5 modifier. Right, this is the most likely to fail one.
Yes. And if it does, the fund's no. Okay.
Right, I'm going to spend my cool on. Yeah.
Okay, and that lets you reroll your failed rolls.
Yes, all of my failed rolls. So I got 3 successes on 12 dice. So I rolled 9 dice.
Colin was just a reroll.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reroll of your failures. You get to keep your successes.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Let me double check, but because there's a question.
That's my understanding anyway.
I think that's how it goes, but we'll double check if there's a question here. Where's traits? Here we go. Call on traits, break a tie, or reroll failed dice on one test.
Okay.
Okay, so I spend one of my fate, which I'll delete. Blip. 7 more successes. Yep, I do it.
Excellent. Okay. Still a routine test, unfortunately. But you now have a how many dice is this fund?
3 die fund.
Nice. Cool. All right.
So whenever I next make a roll, I roll 11 of 13, 14 dice on the next big resource test I want to make. So
because it's 7 plus the 3 from the fund.
Plus the 2 cash dice. Sorry, it's only 13.
It's only 30. No, well, because you can only use one fund at a time, and you already spent the cash. You have no cash dice, right?
Oh, I spend the cash dice. Let's make some more cash dice then. Why not?
Okay.
It's only of 6, so that should be fine. 4 plus 6. Ooh.
So instead, you tax your fund, so your fund goes down by 1.
That sucks. I got 2 die fund now.
That's how it goes. It's like it's one of these.
I could just keep doing it forever until I.
Well, except that there's fictional like I think you're good for now. Like you can't just do it forever because this actually takes time to move money around and stuff.
Right. I had a month, and this has been going on while
Yeah,
in the extra hours of the day that I've not spent practicing other skills.
Yeah. So just taxes by 1. You don't get hit too
Tax by
hard. But that's fine. You do some work, and that's how it goes. Nice. Cool. All right. Well, I think. Does everybody have their beliefs kind of like squared away? Or do we want to talk about beliefs real quick? Or are we good?
I'm missing one belief, but I'm not sure what I'm gonna write yet.
Okay. Well, why don't we call it there, and y'all can ponder your beliefs in between. We can talk about it a little bit, like on the Slack or whatever, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously, the sooner the better, because then I know how to challenge them. I will burn up some NPCs later tonight, and we'll play more Burning Wheel next time. Cool. This is a good one. I like where everybody's at now. I like all those little scenes too. It was nice to end on some like specific stuff. Cool. Well, we'll all be back for more role-playing games tomorrow. We got D&D tomorrow. But in the meantime, let's say a fond farewell to our audience. Thanks for participating in the trait vote, everybody, and for hanging out and doing that with us. Elf, where can people find you when you're not here becoming a cold-hearted face melter?
Well, my dear friends, if you wish to pursue further Eldritch study, you can watch me do stuff over on twitch.tv/distractedelf or on Twitter @distractedelf. I should be streaming tonight at some point. I don't know what I'm doing yet. It's either going to be some creative stuff or like just some haunts or something. Depends how I feel. But yeah, so cool. Follow me there.
All right. Learning how to be a lawyer. Lady Alessandra, played by Blue Jay. Blue Jay, what have you been up to? Where can people watch you do those things?
What have I been up to? I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley.
Yeah, I have.
I love that game. And the thing is that what you don't see is that I play Stardew Valley on stream, and sometimes I also play Stardew Valley on my Switch for hours, not on stream. So I'm like covering Stardew Valley gamut.
That's the one.
Anyway, I'm Blue Jay, and you can find me at twitch.tv/BlueJay or on Twitter @BlueJay_712. I will not be streaming tonight because instead I'm going to be hosting that first session of the new Crit Roll and chatting about it. If you guys want to chat about it and not do that in the crazy, horrible Geek and Sundry chat, then you can do that with me on my channel. So, yeah. I'm excited. I wonder if they're going to start at level 1. Like, I want to see some of them die. Not in real life, just in the game.
Not in real life. Awesome. Thank you. Let's jump over to Andrew. Thanks for arguing so aggressively for your choices in the trait vote today. It feels really good to me. This is something that the audience may not pick up, but we've all played enough together that we can have conversations that might seem like we're fighting, but don't worry. Role-playing game, mom, dad, we're not having an argument.
I got the fire in my soul,
Yeah,
the passion.
The passion, the burning desire.
Yeah,
wheel
we're just
burns
playing
in
Burning
my
Wheel,
heart.
and you're fighting for what you believe in. So
I just wanted to advocate for stuff because I don't feel terrible about anything.
Good.
I'm glad you don't feel terrible about anything. That's not the goal.
Yep.
Yeah. I stream sometimes on twitch.tv/actualfactual. Lately, I've been doing a lot of miniatures related stuff, which has been great. If you want to check that out. And also designing my game Girl by Moonlight, which is currently in beta. You can playtest it. There's a link in my Twitter @CommuteandCrow. And I'm going to start a show of it, a playtest on Actual Play on January 25th. It's going to be our first episode. And I know in advance that we are going to be playing the Magical Girls in Mecha playbook. So you can come watch that. It's going to be fucking awesome.
Nice. It's very exciting. Also doing the burgeoning game design. It's Dave. Dave.
Yep, it's the Dave. Dave_the_human is me on Twitter, and just Dave_human is me on Twitch. if you want to check either of those out. Making my big, strong tweets today. I think that's my new most popular tweets, which is quite funny, about Dark Souls. People like my hot takes on Dark Souls, hot memes. Yeah, I think maybe I'll have enough stuff ready for you all to look at for a summoner stream tomorrow. Maybe yes, maybe no. Keep an eye on Twitter, and that is where you will find out. Thanks everyone for coming and watching. It's really cool to have audience participating in the trait vote, even if you did do one of us wrong.
Really cool and eternally frustrating.
Yep. That's
No,
it's like Andrew said, sometimes in a democracy everybody just comes out feeling a little bit ripped off, but hey, we do what we can.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Cool. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. The Burning Wheel is my favorite game, and this is a big part of why this kind of like very intense characterization stuff. So I'm glad that you are here for that. And to my players, thank you for engaging in that process. Although it can occasionally be frustrating, I think it's really fun to see the characters develop this way mechanically and narratively. So you can catch character creation stuff for some of the NPCs. I'm going to be doing that. I got to do it anyway. I've been putting it off for a while. I got to do it anyway. I'm going to do it on stream. I know, as Blue Jay said, there's a lot going on tonight. So if you can't catch it live, maybe it's 3 a.m. in your time zone. It's okay. Come on by if you can. If not, I will make sure that it ends up in the playlist on YouTube that is the same as these videos. So if you're hearing me say this, the next videos should be character creation ones after they've been put up live and uploaded. You can catch us, this very lovely group, doing the much less serious but no less fun Tomb of Annihilation, which is a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventure. You can catch us doing that on twitch.tv/DND on Fridays, which is to say tomorrow. So definitely check that out. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Thank you for coming. It's been a delight as always. See you around. Bye, everybody.